Welcome to the Fantasy Golf Bag Podcast, presented by FantasyGolfBag.com, your number one source for the most in-depth PGA Tour analysis in the daily fantasy and sports betting world. Each week, our experts will discuss everything you need to know, from the course preview and key stats to top plays, fades, and strategies. Whether golf betting, grinding out cash games, or playing for a big GPP win, our team has you covered. Let's get after it.
Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Golf Bag Podcast. It is Axis hosting today, and joining me tonight will be Sky of the GolfGurus. What's going on, Sky?
What's going on, Axis, man? Good to be here.
Yeah, it feels good. Had the week off last week. Nice vacation in a DFS illegal state, so didn't lose my ass on Wells Fargo, which I may have done.
You can't beat that in Hawaii, though, either.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least it wasn't like Alabama where I was not playing DFS. But, yeah, it feels good to be back. Get back in this week for a nice little warm-up with the Byron Nelson and hopefully win some bankroll for the PGA next week. But, yeah, feels good. And just before we get into the Byron Nelson, a couple notes. The Listener League link will be posted, so be sure to join that this week. And obviously, Drew is not joining us tonight. However, he will be on Pat Mayo's Draftkings show tomorrow, I believe. So,
yep, tomorrow.
If you'd like to get Drew's input, he will be on the Mayo show. And as always, if you are a premium member, you can find all of us and Jacob in the premium Slack chat if you'd like to ask us any questions there. Articles will be up this week. And as always, the stream on Wednesday night. So be sure to check all that out. If you're not already a member, go to the site, sign up, worth every penny you will pay. And it's not very many pennies. So, without further ado, Byron Nelson Championship at Trinity Forest. What do you have on the course for me, Sky?
Yeah, this is quite an interesting one because we've only had 1 year of it. And the way people are describing it is basically an American Links course where no trees at all. The wind can really play havoc if it was, but last year it was quite down. We saw a winning score, I believe minus 23 by Aaron Wise last year. So, this course can definitely be got. Last year it played at a par 71, just under 7,400 yards. It was one of the easiest courses of 2018, and it had the most accurate or the easiest fairways to hit, where 80% of fairways were hit last year, 77% of greens in regulation. But the one thing about the greens is they're quite large. So they were hitting 77%, but the proximity was the sixth worst of courses last year. So again, these things are massive. So it's not really pin seeking for every single green in regulation. But again, birdies are to be had. The driving distance was one of the top 10 percentile of driving distance last year. And one thing interesting to note when we're looking at it, last year it played a bit firmer because of the way Texas summers can be. So there was quite a bit of rollout last year with it, but now this year Dallas has been hammered by rain. His name's Casey Koff, the director of grounds at Trinity Forest, tweeted earlier last week that there was 1.5 inches of rain and that this course is going to play long this year. So, again, I'm really expecting this to be a bomber's paradise, just rip and rip. Clearly it's easy to get in the fairway, so the farther you can hit it, especially if that roll's not going to be rolling out as it was last year, the better you can get to these massive greens and pin seek to score these birdies. So that's the way I'm looking at it. How about yourself?
Yeah, that's about everything I saw too. Again, 1 year, so I'm not going to try to take too much from what happened last year, but it makes complete sense with the yardage, the rain, size of the greens, size of the fairways. Brooks wins by 10.
At least.
If he wants to. Maybe 6, because Hideki's in the field, and Hideki's awesome. So.
Yeah, Brooks is, we can really just jump right into it. He's for many, probably going to be an interesting debate. You know where I stand. To me, he hasn't played often before the majors, like the week before. The last time If we think about when he really was clicking on all cylinders going into the last major was the PGA Championship last year, where he played at Bridgestone, where he was first tee to green, finished fifth, really came in again firing, and parlayed that into the victory at the PGA Championship. So I don't see any reason for him to be coming. He was already in New York this weekend. I don't see any for his birthday, so I don't see any reason why he would come all the way to Dallas to not expect to win this, to go right back up to New York and compete at the PGA. So, I mean, he's not someone who plays in things just to play it. So I'm going to be playing probably 3 to 4 times the field of what Brooks is going to be owned at. So he's here to win, and I think he's going to clearly, stomp the field. I'm going to have some other bets, but he's my odds-on clear highest owned player.
Yeah, I'm going to have an internal debate on how much Brooks I want to use this week. I won't be using him in single entry, but I don't think I'll be using anybody this high in single entry, but I'm going to be obviously making multiple for GPPs. So the debate for me will be if I want more Brooks or more Hideki. I like them both this week. I think they're both the class of the field by a decent amount. So I think they should sleepwalk to a T20 at worst. Like if they don't, it's a bad week. So I mean, it might even be a bad week if they're not top 10, to be honest.
And like when we talk Brooks, I mean, of course, fit of places you can just absolutely grip and rip at, and pin seek and search after birdies like he does so well, and obviously so does Hideki. But yeah, I mean, Brooks is 6.5 to 1 when the next closest is 16 to 1, and I know again that's Vegas odds probably based on a lot of those wins Brooks has had compared to Hideki falling short, but I don't see a reason to be again extremely exposed. I'm talking upwards of probably 75% if we're max entering, which I'm going to be doing this week in that $5. So yeah, that's my stance on it. And it's going to be when I'm doing that, I'm going to sacrifice Hideki because I think, again, to your point, when we talk about a field, this field is utter garbage, and he's definitely the second best. And then you walk into, again, Spieth below, and then Stenson and Leishman above 10K, who don't tickle my fancy at all either. So I'm just going to be hammering Brooks up there.
I don't mind Stenson this week. Again, if you can do anything on the green, just anything. I think Stenson's okay, and you're saving 1,100 from Brooks. So I like Stenson. I'm not going to be on Leishman this week. I don't think he's a bad play. Again, he's up in this field, but I'm not playing that many guys from 10K and above. So if I do, it'll be Brooks and Hideki. If I mix anybody else in from up here, it would be Stenson, but it all depends on how many lineups I end up making.
Honestly, I'm still a little mad at Leishman due to last year. If you remember,
God.
This
was a bad fade.
This was the Belgian knockout double with Otagi and Leishman falling second place after collapsing on Sunday. Oh, that was the big one.
I didn't have that. I just remember I faded Leishman in DFS, and he was like 30+% and just came out with a 10 under. I was like, oh, cool. My week's over on Thursday.
Yep, 100%. And this was, again, Wise when he had done so well at Wells Fargo the week prior. And again, we'll probably roll into the 9Ks if you don't mind right now.
Yeah.
And we can really talk to him because last year, I mean, he went and finished second today at Wells Fargo, came in here at like 33 to 1. Everybody was off him, gets his win in Texas. And to me, he's definitely my top 9K play as well. Him and Keith are who stand out to me. Again, if we talk about bomb and gouge, pin seek, let the driver rip. Those two of those 9Ks are 100% those type of guys, and that's really clearing away my two favorites and tops of the models, Wise and Mitchell.
My top favorite in the 9K range is actually going to be Reed at 9.8K, and the concern is he hasn't been good off the tee, and he normally isn't, but he doesn't have to be accurate this week, and he's not long off the tee, but he's not short. I mean, I think 298 is what I'm looking at, but I just think he's the best golfer in that range. I mean, Sabatini's 9K,
wild,
gross, but been playing well, but gross. I could get behind Mitchell at 9.1K. Obviously played well here last year. This is his style, lots of birdies, grip and rip. Grace at 9.2K doesn't really do too much for me. Sungjae's interesting because he does very well off the tee, but he's not long. So, I mean, he's not short either. Not too many golfers are truly short, but he's definitely shorter than.
Yeah, I have him 51 percentile in the last calendar year.
And he gains a lot off the tee because he's accurate, which isn't going to really matter as much. But he's really good at golfer. But 9.6, I don't know. I think I'll probably, because of what I'm doing up top, I might use some Reed. But this is probably going to be a group that I personally kind of skip over.
And I'm sure Wise and Mitchell are going to garner a lot of ownership as people enjoy playing them, and then you see the people surrounding them. So I do think there's logical plays in Reed like that. Reed would be my third favorite if I'm able to, but I'm going to stick to a tight core. And those two, I think I'll get off, chalk when we get down lower. But I ran a little bit if we're talking about kind of some tailored stats for this type of course. So we looked at an easy course. Again, I played one of the top the low 10 percentile of scores, so an easy course. Driver heavy, it was one of, again, the 10 top percentile in driving distance last year. Easy fairways, easy greens, and there was 3 golfers that gained a quarter of a stroke in all 4 of those categories.
And that's per round, correct?
That's per round. Yep, per round. So a half a stroke better than their normal baseline, and that was Mitchell, Wise, and then we'll talk about the third later on. And again, they're top 2 in weighted course history off of 1 year, but it clearly backed up from a sense of that 1 year example of those 2. So I'm not going to shy away. Odds wise, 28-1, 40-1 for those 2. I'm kind of intrigued by Mitchell's 40. We'll see if I end up pulling it or not. I'm going to probably be a little lighter on the outrights. We talked about that, but that's my 9K area.
Yeah, I don't think Wise and Mitchell are bad. I don't know, maybe my builds will come around and I might end up with I probably prefer Keith over Wise, but ever so slightly. Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes, but I don't know. They're not really, I shouldn't say they're not popping, but I just prefer Reed, I guess, this week, which is odd, but it is what it is. Sometimes I just have to trust. It just
feels like a different class, though.
I just have to trust my numbers sometimes. They're normally better at it than just my eyes. So
fair.
But yeah, I want nothing to do with Sabatini at 9K. Like I'll skip Sabatini in the upper 8s. You have Knott 8-9, Moore 8-8, Man Rocket, Lucas Biergaard is 8-7, Rafa 8-6, and CH3 is 8-5. So from this little pod. Now this is where I'll find myself playing Lucas, Rafa, and CH3 personally. I know you're not as big as on Rafa this week as me, as far as the outright I have, but 8,600 is pretty cheap for his talent level in this field.
No, I agree, and again, we had the conversation of Rafa today as a winner compared to DK. I think it's totally different. I think for 8,600, I do think he's a great play there. I think he will garner ownership because everyone does love playing Rafa, but I mean, it's well deserved. I really like him, but I mean, it feels like I hit or miss on this podcast on when I can make it due to the time zones, but I feel like every week I'm on, it's a Man Rocket week. And of course,
funny how that works.
All over. Yeah, I just happen to be free those weeks. But Biergaard's going to be heavily exposed in my lineups. We talked a link style track. He's a bomber who can score quite often. He's got those low rounds in him. We've both already pulled the trigger on 66 to 1. It's already down to 60 on Sportsbook, 50 in most places. So we hit that number right when it came out. But, I mean, he's someone who fits the mold exactly how we're looking for. And there's 2 other Euros in the 8K that we're really into as well that we can look at the bottom half. But I won't find myself playing Chucky. I know you like the consistency out of him. Mold for course fit, not for me.
I mean, I can see it. His approach numbers could be better on the year, but he's still good off the tee. And again, it comes down to just kind of the class of golfer in this field. I honestly think 8K and up, you can get away with playing a lot of these guys, and you can should expect them to make the cut this week. Like, obviously they all won't. That's just golf, but I think you can make an argument for most of these guys up here this week that, like, I'd be pretty disappointed if any of the guys I play up here honestly don't make the cut. Like, it's a bad week. Again, it's going to happen, but I don't know. I think just, yes, CH3 rates out very well for me as just overall talent in this field. So at that price, he will find himself in a handful of lineups for sure.
Fair. Yeah, and your point again, this is one of those weeks that realistically it's all about the bottom end, where you can find any value or sneak a top 20 out of some guy that's low owned below 7.5, when all these guys probably above. It's going to be a full week sweat. So I mean, looking at the lower eights, I think there's two people that both stand out to us, and it's Thunder Bear and it's Peters, coming over from overseas, getting ready for the PGA Championship. Thor especially, I know we jumped right away on that 55 and 50 to 1. Each got that. So, I mean, talk to me about him. You love him this week.
I mean, I think Thor is he's very same player, not quite the same, but almost identical as Biergaard and Countryman. Yeah. So both man rockets. I mean, what else could you want? So I think, and he actually rates out better than Lucas for me. Like, that was the first bet I made as soon as they opened it. I forget where at 55, but I think that was Sportsbook too, 55 to 1.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, that price shocked me, and it's probably because he doesn't always have the best results on tour when he comes over here, but he really hasn't played bad, and normally on his PGA events he's playing the WGCs or the majors, so you can take that with a grain of salt. But even with his Euro statistics, like, I don't know, that one really stood out as just seemed like a bad price to me. So
he was lights out Thursday, Friday, Saturday at the Masters too. Tee to green, like unbelievable green and regulation numbers. He fell apart completely on Sunday, but I mean, he top 3 or top 5 the Bridgestone last year. I mean, this dude is unreal talented. So to get 8,100, to get the 50 to 1, I'm there. And then we go to the Belgian bomber, Peters. From an instance of someone who has quite the volatility. I think Peters is kind of the king of that. But again, he can absolutely mash the ball off the tee. He's a birdie guy, through and through. And when we look at some of the people around him, I just think the talent level for what's offered at 8,300 for the DK points upside, I'm completely in on Peters too.
Yeah, and he's had a bunch of middling finishes, especially over in Europe, where you'd probably expect him to be better in those fields. But I don't know what your mindset is sometimes, playing to the competition, because there's a lot of good European golfers who, by how they play on the PGA Tour, you'd think they'd storm every Euro event they play. But I don't know, different worlds. But anyway, yeah, Peters definitely fits that mold again as bomb and gouge. Very high upside. I guess he's the one above 8K where if he missed the cut, I guess I wouldn't be overly surprised.
That's fair. And then
maybe I would. He's been consistent. He really doesn't miss that many cuts in the events he plays. He just you just expect better from him because a lot of them are weaker fields. But
for sure, absolutely, yeah. I mean, we were paying 11.5, I think, in Euro DFS no more than a month ago to play him, and
yeah, he was 11 plus in Qatar where he missed the cut actually. Outstanding.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that is Peters. And, I mean, people who don't probably know him as well, and again, he's a popular name of Euros just because he top 5 the Masters, his first time there. But, yeah, I just think the style of the course for his game is perfect. And then for other 8K guys or low 8Ks guys, the next one for me is definitely Palmer. Coming off the win at the Zurich where he played tremendous, with Rahm, especially on the greens, really saving them on Sunday. So I'm into Palmer. Palmer in Texas is always a thing. So he's my next favorite of those low 8Ks.
I'm not going to be in on Palmer. I actually think I'm going to, this is going to hurt. I'm actually going to risk playing Noren for as bad as he has been. I'll let him hurt me again, I guess. I just think overall, again, he isn't playing this way, so maybe I'm just catching him on a really bad downswing. But I don't know. From what I've seen long term, he's better than that price. So if you're going to find it, maybe this is the field to find it in. He's 28th at the Heritage was the last time we saw him. He made the cut at the Masters.
At Heritage, I think he was a first-round leader, or he shot -4 day one. It was right there. Really good tee to green, but then just fell back the last 3 days.
Yeah, he was very average. think he shot a 67, 74, 67, 72. But
okay, yep.
So I can't say that he found something because he had missed 2 cuts before the Masters. Just very middling. But I don't think anybody else will really play him. So that Norn will be a guy that I take a shot on in these low 8Ks.
Fair. Okay, so now we get into high 7s. We get the boy Scotty Scheffler at 7,900. I'm going to be playing him. I mean, coming off of a playoff loss on the web after I think he T20'd the Valero. He's been hot fire on the web. Again, Texas guy. He's just a phenomenal talent. So 7,900. He's getting wild respect in Vegas, 50-1. I just think he's a quality player, and the course fits what I'm looking for him. So 7,900 I'll be on. Who are you looking at above 75?
Yeah, Scheffler has 5 top 10s in his last 6 web.com events. He stumbled in Louisiana, but
okay.
He did finish 20th place of Valero. So I'll play some Scheffler. I don't have a ton of data on him, obviously playing a majority of his events on the web, but yeah, he caught hot fire down there. So the price is a little shocking, but not obviously Vegas has been paying attention to what he's been doing, so it explains it with his odds and the price. So I like Scheffler this week. CT Pan rated out well for me, but I don't think the course really fits him. So the guy I'm probably going to go back to, I was on him last week betting wise, and I probably would have played him in DFS too, but I'm going to go back to Pat Perez at 7,700. I think he's still being underpriced due to the injury and just time off and kind of what had led up to that. And I think he's a much better golfer than 7,700. That's just pure value to me. If I was pricing him, he should be higher than that based on his talent. And last week was good to see. The Zurich, if I went through the scorecard before I played him last week, and he had been doing a lot of, he was playing with Duffner, and he was doing at least his fair share of the lifting. So I figured if he was hurt, he wasn't going to play. So the fact that he popped a little bit last week, it kind of sucked that his Sunday cost me a T5, but 7,700 in this field, I'll be right back on him. Yeah,
no, I think that was very sharp of you. I tried to talk you off the ledge, and the next thing you know, I look at him, and he's 10 under after 3 rounds, and I was like, holy cow, Axis. No, that was a smart move being on him, and I can agree with it. It's not someone I probably will go with. I'm going to be on my boy Justin Harding again. He's, again, for me, when I look at the talent of the class level compared to those guys around him, like J.J. Spawn's great and all, but and again, he did well here last year. It just feels like a whole different caliber player to Justin Harding. And again, Harding just came off of a top 12 or top 8, I think, finish at the Masters, 12, I believe, to get into the Masters for the following year. One in Qatar. Again, the links style setup. Qatar probably is kind of links-ish after we saw Grace win there, years back as well. So, yeah, I'm in on Harding 7,800, and it's tough for me to keep going back to this well, but, man, Trey Mullinax feels like he's a perfect setup. He was second in strokes gained approach last week, just couldn't make a putt, couldn't chip. Maybe his chipping woes will go away because he'll hit the green every single time because it's massive, and you pray that he can lag putt it in. But I'll be on Trey at 7,600 too.
Yeah, I'll definitely be on Harding. I skipped him to let you talk about him, but he's 98th percentile in this field, tee to green, and that's 21 laser rounds for him. And I think he's much better than the average person realizes. Obviously, if you go back and look through his last 10 events over in Europe and you can piggyback them over here, I think he would be in the upper echelon for sure of the talent in this field. So I'll definitely be playing Harding as well. The only other one who I debated was Abraham Answer, just the off the tee game, but the irons have been weak, which is a concern. So
yeah, it feels like I remember our boy Don was at Valero watching him, and he said what he does with his body off the tee is just incredible. And again, being in Texas guy, like it's interesting with Answer, but yeah, I just don't see myself there with I like a few at 7,500. I want to go back to Harding a second if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
So we were looking at kind of the combination again. We talked PGA and Euro over the last calendar year from this point last year. And again, this isn't factoring field strength, which I know you like to do, but you look at those of just strokes gained, field differential, and how they played against the fields they were in. And you look at the top 5 over the last calendar year. And again, so this is quality, sample size. We have 57 rounds for Harding. It goes Brooks first, and then it's Harding second, Peters third, and Thorborn Olsen fourth. So again, we talk about the class of these fields when we look at it. Like, that's why we really like these guys, because they do so well in Europe. And then Hideki would be fifth. So that's why, we see these guys at a price at a lower point, and many people aren't familiar with them still. So that's why we like to take advantage. But 7,500, there's I think 3 of them that I'm kind of interested in. I like KH Lee. We've been on him for quite some time. I like Matt Jones, and I like the Texas Longhorn, Dylan Fratelli.
Yeah, KH Lee is very tilting because he strikes the ball so well. It's just, oh my gosh, everything else is not great. So, if you want to look back, he finished 14th at the Texas Open. He's definitely popped a few times this year. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with him yet. He's short off the tee, which is a concern. Like, he actually is pretty short off the tee.
Very short. Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Which doesn't fit what I'm looking to get at, but man, he just jumps in my numbers.
Yeah, his birdie numbers didn't quite do it for me. I'd much rather play, I didn't say much rather, but I would rather play Fratelli at the same price for sure. Longer off the tee, similar birdie rate, if not a little bit better. Fratelli's better on the par 5s, and you better take advantage of every opportunity you have this week. So I think,
and Fratelli plays a lot overseas too, and we talk about that strokes gained field differential. He would be 6th in that number, following Hideki. So pretty impressive for 80 rounds over the last year over both tours.
Yeah, and I would even when I bump down the Euro stats, he'd still be pretty high up there. So again, 7,500, I think it's a pretty solid deal. He's 75th percentile off the tee over his last 10 events, which is only 14 rounds. But the approach numbers are there, off the tee numbers are there. That's what I'm looking for this week. It's a pretty simple formula for me. Like, I'm not really getting crazy this week at all. There's not like 12 stats I'm trying to mix in a pot and. So I think KH Lee, I'm not really sold on. I'll probably burn a few lineups and pull my hair out and play Berger in a few. And then Fratelli for sure will be another 7,500 guy that makes the player pool this week.
That's fair. I'm ready to roll below in that 7.4 to 7K.
Yeah, so Bud Cauley's the first one that he's going to be in my player pool this week. 76th percentile in strokes gained differential of this field over his last 22 rounds. The off the tee has been shit, but the approach numbers have been solid enough, and I just like what he's been able to do for the most part this year. I know it's nothing spectacular, but he stood out in my overall model, so I'll probably sprinkle in some Bud Cauley because nothing else in this range. I mean, Wyndham Clark was another one that popped. But
yep, that's who I was going to say. Wyndham would be my guy. And it sucks because I was so high on him last week too.
The irons have
came
been bad.
Out flat. Oh, horrible. He's so good off the tee, but his irons are just terrible. But I think with the birdie making, he's a really good putter too. So I think just again, it's slow Bermuda greens. It feels like going to be pure, and that they're going to be rain soaked. There's going to be some rain in the forecast Tuesday, Wednesday, potentially Saturday. I like Wyndham for 7,300 for the upside. I will know. I don't know if you know this or not, but I don't know why Affy Barnrat's in the field. I swore he got hurt, had surgery, and just pulled out of a like an Asian development tour or a Thailand event recently. I would stay far away from Affy Barnrat because I thought he tore his ACL at the Masters. Our boy Jude talked about it.
I saw the video of him falling over doing whatever he was doing at the Masters. I have not been paying attention to what he's been doing since. It is odd, but maybe he's going to see if he can give it a go this week rather than test it out next week. Would be my only guess is like, all right, if I suck, I want it to be this week, get the rust off. I don't know. There'll be 0 for me. I didn't even cross my mind to play him this week.
No, and it didn't for me either. There's a tweet out there from a verified guy saying Affy Barnrat hurt his ACL. Didn't say tore. Someone did say tore his ACL on that moment. So I don't know. I just warning the folks out there. Now the next one I'm very interested in, and I don't want to say it's a sharp move because it's a scary move, but I feel like Sam Burns sets up incredibly well again, and he withdrew after the first round last week after he double bogeyed, I believe, like 3 holes on the back of 9. It could have just been frustration, could have been something bothering him. He missed the cut with Cam Champ the week prior, but he was 3rd the week before that. I don't know. I feel like you could get away with going like 12% Burns and like a max build and be still 4 times the field because people are scared to go back on him.
I mean, I personally will have 0 Sam Burns this week. He just didn't really do anything for me when going through the early numbers.
He's long, a Bermuda putter that we've played. I mean, Bermuda Burns.
It is Bermuda Burns, yeah.
You're gonna hate this next guy that I'm gonna play too, but I think Ollie's worth playing as well.
Yeah, enjoy.
Dude, he is. I never realized this about him until I've been kind of dating
is
him.
not good. He's not good.
Well, that wasn't what I was going to say. He is incredibly long. Did he change his swing? Like, I didn't think he was this long.
I am not an Ollie person. If it comes around in the future, whatever. He's young, so I'm not saying he's going to suck forever, but he sucks right now, and I want nothing to do with it.
I mean, he's, again, of people that have played in the last 10 tournaments, like 20-plus rounds, he's the longest weighted driving distance of anybody. That just doesn't feel like the Ollie I knew. And
he's also probably the awfulest at other things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely putrid at others. I just think I know he can go low. I know he can absolutely go low. He's 87 percentile in weighted birdie or better over the last 10 tournaments. And I think he can make the cut clearly. And, again, he's not too expensive at 7,200 that I'm going to play some Ollie.
Oh, he's so bad. Enjoy. I can't do it. Ugh.
So let's go for it. I mean, this field's horrible, dude. Horrible. I mean,
he's in it. That's why.
The next 2 plays that I liked were Troy Merritt and Adam Schenk. I don't view them as crazy good compared to Ollie either.
No. It starts getting dicey down here real quick for me. And I don't just want to say all these golfers are ass, but they all are priced down here for a reason. So, if you want to roll the dice, that's not who I'm going to be rolling the dice on. I will be playing equally bad golfers probably, but I'll play golfers who have been playing a little bit better than Ollie.
Who are you on?
So the first, I probably just shot my own self in the foot because Johnson Wagner popped for me, and he's actually missed 3 cuts in a row. So got that big second place down in Puerto Rico. I know. I just destroyed Ollie, and then I follow it up.
For failure, yeah.
I follow it up with Johnson Wagner. But statistically, better than Ollie. Finishes have probably been the same as Ollie. So what can you do? But
I mean, we talked about the last year strokes gained field differential. Johnson Wagner unbelievably is 10th in the field.
Yeah. Oh, I put a wager that he finishes better than Ollie, but
I mean, that can be our head-to-head for the week if we want. You're giving me a little love there, $400 more.
Oh, I don't care.
See, I think, but more than anything, I think Ollie outscores him DraftKings wise. That would be the bet I would be more confident in.
I mean, potentially. Whatever. Yeah, that could be. You can do that. You can do DraftKings points for all I care.
Actually, now that I look at it, man, Wagner's 90 percentile in last year DraftKings points. I might have to add him to the player pool.
Like I said, he hasn't been good the last 3 events. The recent form is definitely not there. But if he can come back to anything he even had, like he's playing below his baseline right now, which is what stuck out. So there is improvement to be had. He's never been a good golfer. He's been a very average PGA golfer at best. But this field is actually full of below average PGA Tour golfers. So
yeah, it gets. I'm just looking through these names, and again, like I talked about, the 2 biggest that I'll stand at the low 7Ks. Troy Merritt. Again, he was a tour winner last year. It was the Barbasol, I believe, that he won at. So he's very accurate with approaches. He was quite high in my model. And then Adam Schenk, who I believe Shank's quite a bit longer than I thought he was. When I looked at the weighted driving distance, and we talked about this later, it's probably more field related than anything, but he is upwards of like 86 percentile in weighted driving distance. And then again, he's popped here and there out there. I don't think any strong finishes. If we look at, let's see, Shank, best finish as of lately. Oh, I guess he was 13th last week, and then a 7th 3 weeks ago.
I mean, yeah, he came out pretty gangbusters last week? I was really passively watching the leaderboard. I thought he was near the top, or maybe it was, I don't know, he definitely faded, obviously, but I know Drew's brought him up on a couple pods. He had been somebody we had been playing at cheap pricing just to make cuts, and I thought he was near the top of a leaderboard recently just because I was like, oh, look at that, a week I can't play, and Schenk finally popped a little bit. But
yeah, he
shot a 67, yeah.
67, 74, 67, 70.
But I mean, 13th miscut, 7th, 32nd, or 33rd miscut, 29th, 30th, 16th. Like, it's a lot of top 30s for a guy at 7K.
Yeah, no, I'm in. Again, he was 70, 66, 77 at the Valero Texas Open as well.
Yeah, so I can definitely play Schenk this week. What an awful name that is for a golf. Like, my God.
And I mean, now we're getting even more dicey as we get below 7K. And this is where I think what is going to bring the ownership down on Brooks is because people are going to be scared to death to play anyone below the 7K. And again, the volatility, we talked about the Euro. I mean, but I mean, the volatility of a lot of these guys, 7,500 and below, is quite extreme. So I'm going to embrace it and, again, force Brooks in those lineups and mix and match those guys that we've talked on and a few more below here. Who stands out for you?
I could probably get behind playing some Hank Lebioda this week. And he can put the ball out there off the tee. He's made his last 5 cuts, nothing spectacular.
What's tremendous is you didn't butcher that name. You're normally terrible with some of these names. That was phenomenal.
Some of it I do on purpose, but not all of them. Some are slips of the tongue, but some I just like to slip in there, and then everybody can yell at me on Twitter. I get it. Oh, that's going to be his name from now on now. So every week that I massacre it and I get all the tweets about it, I just chuckle to myself.
He was one that stood out to me. We mentioned now what I talked about earlier with Wise and Keith Mitchell being the 2 of those 3 who are fitting those tailored stats that we talked about. Third was Brandon Harkins. If you ever played Brandon Harkins in the West Coast swing, this dude is wild. I mean, he's going to rip off 5 birdies in the front 9 and then hit you with a quad to open the back 9.
Oh, he makes a lot of bogeys.
And then he's going to eagle the next hole. He's insane.
He's he's a young man rocket in the making. Just birdie, triple. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I'm in on him just for that upside of what he provides. And, again, hitting those tailored stats that we talked about. I'm also in on, I think it's Jim Knaus is how you pronounce his last name. Jimmy Hardkay, I think, is his Twitter. And he came from the web.com tour last year. So first year, I believe, is a full tour card. He had a 13th finish last week, 13th, 63rd, and 22nd. So I'm going to be in on Jimmy there at 6,600. I know my boy Daniel Richardson is on him, who's a big web.com follower. So I trust him a lot when we get down to this, and he really likes Jimmy this week.
I have no idea how to say his name. I'm going to assume that K is silent. I'm going to go with Jim Nose. That'd be my guess.
His Twitter's Jimmy Hardkay, so I'm going to go with that.
Well, okay, never mind. I'm an idiot. Definitely a Knos, and for that, I'm not going to play him.
But you got any 166 and below? I got one more that I'm into, I think. Maybe 2, but who you got anybody?
God, if you made me pick, I wish he was longer off the tee, but Nate Lashley would be the highest rated for me that low. I don't know. It's not great, but in my overall talent model, he's the one I got for that deep. But again, he's not very long off the tee, which kind of scares me, and he's just not the greatest, which is kind of not good either. I don't think I'm going to be digging as deep as you this week. Like, this is just putrid, and I already feel dirty talking about it, so.
Yeah, the only one that, maybe not the only one, I'll probably find myself, if I'm hammering Brooks, maybe a little bit more down here, but Sepp Straka popped a lot when I went into driving distance with a combo of birdie or better. He's been not great this year either. I mean, hit or miss, intermittent cuts, couple top 20s mixed in over the last 8 events. But so he popped a little bit. And then Seth Reeves is another one who's a bomber down here. The longest person in the field is Brandon Hagee.
Yep. Doesn't make a lot of birdies though.
But dude, I looked. I was like, man, maybe we got something with Hagee out there. His last events, miscut, 66th miscut.
Oh, it's bad.
I didn't realize it was that bad.
He's made 2 cuts since July.
Part of me thinks though, like I think about this course, and the only course that I can really think about that like fits the mold of it is like Aaron Hills. When Aaron Hills was literally, that's the way I'm kind of portraying it this week, is just you absolutely bomb it. There's literally no harm. Wet out there off the tee with 0 trees. He used to be in trouble when it was firmed up. But, I mean, you saw guys literally came out of nowhere. Like 2 years ago, Trey Mullinax, top 10, a U.S. Open, because the dude could absolutely bomb it. I think that can partially come into play this week. I don't know if I can really get to playing Hagee, but like he's someone I'm a little bit interested in. And then I mean, this guy's gonna be like 0.2% owned.
Zero interest in Hagee. He doesn't make birdies.
No, but the other one that he made a cut last week, and I seriously didn't even really know who the guy was, but Zach Sucker is his name. He T4'd the Webb 2 weeks ago, and then he made the cut at Wells Fargo last week, and he's quite long off the tee too. But I'm sure he's probably not even in anybody's like database. He literally, I had to add him last week for the first time.
I'm not even sure how to say his name, so.
No, but he was very good off the tee. Okay, he played a decent amount in 2017, but he gained 4.2 strokes off the tee last week at Wells Fargo. Again, ugly. I don't see myself going there at all, but I would actually kill for Boo Weekly to get in the field and be priced like 6,300. One of the alternates right now. But yeah, if I'm praying for an alternate.
Are they still adding alternates to these non-majors? I know they have recently, but.
Yep, they did. They added some alternates in Monday qualifiers last week. But yeah, it's not pretty.
I honestly don't think I'll be going this deep. I think I'm gonna have to just sprinkle Brooks and Hideki so I don't have to dip this low, and then cross my fingers that the winner actually comes from the 75 to 85, which it realistically has a better chance of. There's more golfers in that range, but this is gross. I feel disgusting.
Like the way I'm probably gonna build lineups is I'm gonna
hold your nose.
Well, yeah, but I mean I'm willing to embrace it. So like I'll pair like Brooks, Keith, Wise, Manrocket, Olafson, Peters, like Harding, and do like combos of 2 to 3 of those, and then just small bits of others. But that's like my main core is probably those 7 of those guys I really, really like, and it's probably going to force me to maybe be like no Hideki, if not maybe a small bit of Hideki, but it's probably going to get me off read. Unfortunately, you make those decisions if I'm going to be that much of a stance, but that's how strong I feel about the course fit, and those guys all fit what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm going a different route just because of how bad the field is. Like, obviously, I would prefer the guys I play to be longer off the tee, but I think I'm just going to just try to cram as many, this sounds dumb, good golfers, obviously, and just, be a tight player pool and cross my fingers, mix and match them all together and hope for the best, and try not to burn much bankroll before PGA, when they boost all the GPPs again for a major.
So let's just quick review again who we're both on. So you're on RCB, right?
Yes.
At 50?
Yes, 50 to 1.
Okay. Then we're both on Olafson at 55. We're both on Manrocket at 66. The only other bet I place, and I can't believe Bovada accepted this, was the Brooks double. So Brooks winning this week, Brooks winning next week at 96.5 to 1. Again,
I can't advise that.
No, that's fine. It's fine. I have zero action so far for next week. This is the first time I've ever not been like built out card going into a major. I have literally no one except this Brooks double.
I have 0 bets on the PGA.
But that's all I have. I'm staring at Keith and Peters. I'm not sure if I'll pull on them, but I'm really, really staying away from a lot of things odds-wise because I think Brooks can blitz this field.
I'm just staying away because I'll feel like an idiot. I feel like at the like, I don't know. The only other one that caught my eye again was CH3, but I really don't see myself pulling the trigger yet. Maybe at the last second if I don't know. I'm pretty content with the 3 I have right now, to be honest.
It's a strong 3. No, I'm cool with that, and I know we promised our boys in premium here that we want to get some British Master takes. You ready for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to pop over here and get everything pulled up. So we're going to be British Masters. It was normally played in October. Kind of got screwed on the schedule, flipping the week before the PGA.
They did. So this is a bad field, too.
Yeah, so you're led by Fleetwood, Hatton, Eddie, Pepperell, Wallace, and Joust Luton, the top 5 that we're looking at. We're going to be playing at a new course, Hillside Golf Club. Again, they talk about just a traditional link style, par 72, just below 7,000. And again, the quote that I've seen all week long is I think it was Greg Norman said it's the best back 9 he's ever played, or something along those lines of how beautiful of a course this is.
I've seen glowing reviews for this course.
Yep. So again, when we talk about links, you're going to want to be accurate. You're going to be able to get around the greens. Again, playing wind. I haven't really looked at the forecast over there yet, but this is probably going to be a challenging. Fleetwood is not only the odds-on favorite by a lot, but he's also the host.
So here's a quick question, and I can't remember, and maybe you don't either, but when's the last time we saw a 12K guy on DK? I know we've seen 11.8 recently, if I recall, but I don't recall seeing a 12 in a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe DJ at like a St. Jude or RBC Canada or something.
Yeah, and it's. Yeah,
but I couldn't tell you this price. It just, I looked at it and I was like, holy shit! Like.
For sure. I mean, it's interesting too because I mean, you look at the odds and the odds. So Fleetwood again, 12K, Hatton 10.9. If you talk about odds for it, Fleetwood is the same outright.
Yeah, as Brooks.
Even a little bit longer as Brooks, and then Hatton.
And then Hideki.
Yeah, they're very. But they're $400 difference on PGA, but $1,100 difference on Europe when it gets even harder to play the top guys because the bottom is so volatile.
Yeah, this field is brutal.
I mean, there's one guy that I know I'm going to be betting probably every single week, and that's our boy Guido Migliozzi. I mean, he is a ball striking menace, and again, those guys who might not be as familiar with it, this dude, he is a top 10 right now. He's top 7 ball striker on the season in this field, and every single one else who is in the top above him, even one below, so top 8 are all 50 to 1 and lower on the outright. You're going to get 6,700 and 150 to 1, if not longer, on Guido, literally week in and week out. He's pushing triple digits. So I'm going to fire at that. You find him a decent putter. I mean, when he won, he was barely gaining strokes on the field. So that's why we're betting him every
as soon as
single
he gains 0.1, he'll be in the top 5 again.
He had 2 rounds last week where he was over 4 strokes gained ball striking. So, I mean, the dude's an absolute menace. So
I'd like to see him do it in a better field. I mean, this will be one of the better ones he's played in. So we'll see this week. I'll be in, but I'm curious to see. Is this the first time we'll see him on links too?
I mean, yeah. From what I recall, he's played. Let's see here. So, Guido haven't really had like a huge links course, this fall. I mean, Qatar is somewhat challenging in that sense where he missed the cut there, but I mean, he's made 4 of his last 5 cuts.
I was gonna say he missed a lot of cuts until he won. So
first. miscut, 63rd, miscut, 56, miscut. Yeah. So again, he's just, to me, really turned a corner. So he would be a staple every single week for me, honestly, in DraftKings and betting on the outright, getting that T10 for him. I like Papadopoulos a little bit. He's just due to the number and, again, his recent ball striking form. He missed the cut last week due to on-green performance again. I know you popped on a Lynx kind of stud Fox, right?
Yep, I bet Fox 40-1. That is the only bet I have so far for the British Masters because I do think, obviously, it's pretty obvious Fleetwood is the class of this field, far and away. I know Hatton's here, but I don't know. Pepperell's here, so that, I know. But I don't think I'm going to be doing too much this week either. Maybe Lorenzo Vera is at 40. There's just really nothing either tour this week that just really said I must bet you. So I don't know, maybe Pavon at 100-1. I don't know, but Tom Lewis is the only other one I thought about. At I believe you can get him at 50-1. I don't know where he's sitting at other sites, but even on DK 8.1K, I think Lewis is a pretty solid play this week.
I like Lewis. Lewis found it a bit when he came back at Trophy, I believe it was. Trophy Hassan when he came back. Yep, played well there. I mean, guys that have been really clicking that I have some interest in. I know I'll probably have to make a decision, but Jordan Smith, Benjamin Herbert, Victor Dubuisson, as you say so nicely, are ones that I'm quite intrigued at. Our boy Minwoo Lee is back in the field, and he's a menace too. He's going to be so much fun, but I just don't see Lynx setting up for the best for him to come out the gate when he is so long off the tee. He averaged 20 yards longer than anybody else in the field last week.
Yeah, it's insane.
So, I mean, I would bet him at 70-1 if he was playing in Texas this week. That would have been a better course fit for him. But so I mean, I look at that again. I'll be on Papadopoulos, Migliozzi, and I'll probably pull on Benjamin Herbert after he lost in the playoff to Miko last week. That's the way it looks for me. Trying to see if there's anybody else I'm missing on. Would you be playing Fleetwood on DraftKings? I don't think I can justify that.
I have not even attempted to build a lineup, so I can't say for certain. You'd think at 12K though, not many will, but you'd think. But then again, I don't know because he's got name recognition, so maybe guys will play him and then just cross their fingers, playing a couple other guys down low that they've heard of. Like maybe they'll try to squeeze a Paisley in there or a Aaron Rye or. I don't know, Brandon Stone, just rambling other names. I don't know how many casuals are going to be playing Euro this week, so.
Yeah, and the guys up top, so Fleetwood, Hatton, Eddie, Wallace, those guys haven't played on the European Tour in quite some time. So you don't see as much recent stats unless they're overseas. David Lipsky was quality again last week. Yeah, Lorenzo was interesting as we go down the field.
I mean, maybe Robert Rock. I mean, I don't think I'd bet him, but on DraftKings, 7.1K, a pretty consistent golfer. We haven't seen him since the Indian Open, though, where he finished 18th. But as far as Euro goes, he's fairly consistent. Smashes greens.
Your boy Scrivener is pretty cheap, too.
Yeah, I think you can do a lot worse than Rock. Like I mentioned, Paisley, Pavon, I don't know. There's, I mean, the guy who I want to play again, even though I don't really know. I'd have to try to get more info, except I don't think I can get any more info on why Matthew Nixon decided to stab me in the back when he withdrew. But 6,300, so that'd be another guy I'd contemplate playing if I was making multiple lineups.
I would note, too, if you're playing DraftKings for it, Kitayama and Lipsky both received exemptions or invitations to the PGA Championship. So that just happened. So I don't know their motivation level to now play this week and then, be in realistically what I think definitely Kitayama's first major. I don't know if it's Lipsky's or not, but because the top 102 right now in the world have gotten the invitation. So you look at people fighting outside of that, ranking, and you do have a lot of these guys that are right there. So, I mean, you look at, let's see, Kitayama got a special exemption. Van Rooyen, Lorenzo Vera, all in the field that are Jordan Smith, Pavan that you talked about, Sterney, all dudes that are going to be in the field that are just within like 20 points of getting it. So I don't know how much of a motivation factor that can be, but that's that cutoff right now. So it's interesting to see Kitayama and Lipsky get in. Good for them.
I don't think Lipsky has played a major yet.
Well, good for him finally getting in.
I guess I don't know that for a fact, but just a very quick look through.
Yeah,
I didn't see it, but either way, it's cool to see those two Americans get an invite.
Yeah, because that's what they did. They did the American winners on the European Tour.
Oh,
so Lipsky played in the Open in 2015 and made the.
Oh, yeah, I didn't go back that far. Fuck.
Yeah, and he missed the cut in 2017. So, but no, I think Scrivener can kind of be a little bit interesting. Shinkwin's someone who's shown some great form, who has very well links pedigree. Outside of that, again, I'll probably be on Hebert. And then as the week comes, feel free to fire away in the Slack for premium members if you want to come on board and join. We have some awesome tools that we're focusing right now on this Euro potential integration. And again, we're so excited about the things that are happening at Fantasy Golf Bag that we'd love to collaborate. And you have any ideas, fire them away in Slack. I mean, this is a fun time of the year.
Absolutely.
No, that does it for me. But no, I'm cool on the week axis. Thanks again for having me on, man.
Absolutely. It was a great time. Like you said, great time to be joining Fantasy Golf Bag. Have a lot of cool tools coming out soon, as well as a showdown model. If you're into showdown, it makes it really easy to filter your player pool to exactly who you are looking for. After each round, got all the live stats on there as well. So be sure to do that. We also have the Listener League, like I mentioned. And again, Drew will be on Pat Mayo's show tomorrow if you would be looking for his input and what he has to say. Again, find us all in the premium Slack chat and hope to talk to you soon and see some green screens.